Lois, I'm fat and I'm stupid, and I fart at times that ruin my father-in-law's social occasions, and that's why I'm never invited to them.
You pay me now?
Alright, you read the title, you know what's going on. I'll start by prefacing this video by saying it is not intended to be some sort of smear campaign or hate video against furries or anything. I don't have any ill will towards them, I don't have any ill will towards furries or anything. Secondly, this video isn't scripted. These are all just observations, I'm just ranting and making speculations. That said, I do still want this video to be taken seriously, but with a grain of salt, as that's all I'm pretty much saying. I'll probably make a revised version, but the reason for this is I don't see this video going anywhere, so I'm not putting much effort into it. I don't think anybody's really going to see this.
I want you to listen to me. I'm going to say this again. I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Now, what I'm about to say is going to sound like the rants of a schizophrenic maniac, but I feel something needs to be said. I'm going to start by saying that I'm going to be making comparisons to lolicon, or shouldnt, as whatever. I'm going to be making comparisons to those. I'm going to be making comparisons of furry porn to lolicon to show why they are similar and pretty much explain why I think that furries are pretty much zoophiles for their similarities too. You know. To start, what is lolicon? To keep it short and simple, it's a sexualization of characters that intentionally look young. I don't need to explain why this is bad, but just in case, children cannot consent. They do not have the cognitive ability to consent. They do not have the ability to recognize what is happening to them, and obviously they are below the age of consent. Now, what is zoophilia? Zoophilia is defined as the sexualization or attraction of a human towards animals. Why is it wrong? Because dogs also cannot consent. Dogs also do not have the cognitive ability to recognize when they are being taken advantage of. So, this is the start of my comparison. Children don't have the mental ability to consent, and neither do dogs. Now, I'm going to make a quick side note here. I'm going to use the word technically a lot for this next segment, and that's because I'm going to explain some things the way a pedophilic lolly enjoyer might to get their point across. I don't support any of the things being said, but to say that every time would be repetitive. So I'm going to say technically with a lot of emphasis. So, alright, to kick this off, I want to bring up the character of however you pronounce that, from the popular anime Dragon Maid. Whatever, just by looking at her character design, anyone would say that she looks like a child, and thusly shouldn't be sexualized. Good. Now I'm going to bring up a popular furry character, the character of Luna from YouTube series Hell of a Boss, whatever. What would you say about her character? What does she look like? A wolf, right? So here's my first sort of gripe. If a character is demonized for looking like a child while technically being an adult, how can a furry sexualize a character that looks like a dog even though it's technically an adult as well? What is the sort of difference here? Both characters are technically adults. Neither is real, and both are sexualizations of something that should not be sexual, a child and a dog. What's the difference? Yes, their character personalities are different, and I'll make a point of that later. But for now, I'm focusing on looks, because that's the first thing people look at, the looks. If this character looks like a child, then it's wrong to sexualize it. But if this character looks like a dog, tail, ears, face, and all, how is that okay? Why is one a sign of controversy, but the other isn't? Again, they are both sexualizations of things that shouldn't be sexualized. Dogs can't consent. Neither can children. Now, I've talked to some furries, not many. I didn't have much time to prep this video. But the common consensus among furry characters is that furry characters are anthropomorphic, and thusly there is a difference between the two. And they sort of use that as a shield you know, you can't say you can't sexualize a child, but you can sexualize a dog because it's anthropomorphic. But I don't buy that excuse, and here's why. The common consensus is that if a character displays the mental ability and is above the age of consent and basically has the body of an adult, then that character is grounds for sexualization. This sort of acts as a shield for furries to explain why it's okay to draw porn of a dog. But here's why I don't buy the whole anthropomorphism as an excuse. Just saying you gave a dog the ability to do taxes does not make it grounds for pornography. In fact, saying that it's technically the age of consent and technically it looks like an adult, so it's okay, is not okay. It's the exact excuse that pedophiles use to justify their gross fetishes. Let me go ahead and give you an example. The common excuse for Ta whatever being the way that she looks is that she is a 4,000-year-old dragon. And the common excuse for Luna is that she is a 22 in demon years. So, do you see the similarities here? One is 4,000 years, 4,000 in dragon years. The other is 20 in dragon years. So that makes it okay. But that doesn't justify it. That doesn't make it okay. They are both still, again, sexualizations of things that should not be sexualized. And if you're going to use the whole anthropomorphic excuse, then, and here's another reason why I don't buy it. Both Ta whatever and Luna are anthropomorphic characters. One is an anthropomorphic version of a dragon. The other is an anthropomorphic wolf. So if you were to say that Luna is an anther wolf and that justifies its sexualization, that you're saying that Ta whatever is acceptable just because she is an anthropomorphic dragon, which is wrong. Even if she looks like a child and Luna looks like a dog. Why is only one the cause for concern? Now, I'm not trying to justify that lolly shit. I don't swing that way at all. What I'm trying to say is that furry porn and lolly porn are more alike than anyone would care to admit, and understandably so, because nobody wants to admit that they're a zoophile for the blatant sexualizations of an animal. I'll give you an example of just how much more similar these two examples are than you think. Alright? Follow me. Ta whatever is an anthropomorphic dragon. Luna is an anthropomorphic wolf. Ta whatever is 4,000 years old in dragon years. Luna is 22 in demon years. Ta whatever looks like a child. Luna looks like a dog. So here is, what I've been the point, I guess. Again, this video is not scripted. I'm ranting here. I'm just talking out of my ass. You see how these two things are similar, and I just don't, me personally, I don't see a difference between them. They are both sexualizations of something that shouldn't be sexualized. Both of them use the excuse that it's anthropomorphic. Both of them are technically above the age of consent by some magic bullshit number that doesn't exist in our world.
Your mom is so British. You went to hell.
Next segment, I'm going to briefly talk about the Harkness test. If you've been diagnosed with terminally online syndrome, you'll probably know what I'm referring to. But if you're lucky and you've been getting your daily dose of fresh air and grass clippings, you probably don't know what I'm talking about. So let me explain. The Harkness test is a little internet theory that refers to a hypothetical set of guidelines that would pretty much basically allow you to have sexual intercourse or sexual fantasies about a fictional non-human character. Basically, it's a checklist to make sure you can have wet dreams about something or not. In my humble opinion, if you gotta bust out a rule book to determine whether you can fuck something or not, you probably shouldn't be sticking your dick in it. But I digress. The reason I bring this up is because the Harkness test is so stupid, you gotta be a level 3000 cocksucking vagina huffing tier 3 coomer to actually believe something as retarded as this is, like, valuable. This little experiment, we're gonna put the Harkness test to the test. We're gonna run the character of Ilulu, whatever, from the same god-awful anime through the same test. An even more controversial character because, look at it. Anyway, let's just run this character through the Harkness test real quick. According to the Harkness test, it has to pass these three checkboxes in order to be grounds for sexualization, as you could say. So let's look at the first one. Does it have human intelligence? Yes, she does. Can it talk and communicate in its own language? Yes, she can. Is it sexually mature for its species? Yes, she actually is. Would you look at that? By using this dumb, horny furry's own stupid checklist, you've just justified pedophilia. It doesn't matter if she looks like a child or acts like one too, she knows how to file taxes, and that's all that matters. And this is the problem with saying, oh well, it's anthropomorphic, so it's fine. It's stupid because while it isn't technically a dog, using this stupid excuse to draw dogs in a sexual manner is just promoting degenerate behavior. If I take a picture of a horse right now and I say it's an alien species, it's over 1,000 years old, and it has the intelligence of a dumbass college 21-year-old, and it can speak 21 different languages, I can not legally, but I can justifiably, as according to the Harkness test, have wet dreams about this horse, right? It doesn't matter if it looks like a horse. It knows how to file taxes. So that makes it right. Right? Wrong. Nothing in this stupid list ever says anything about make sure the thing doesn't look like a fucking anime or a child before engaging in degenerate behavior. Nothing says make sure it doesn't look like an animal before you fuck it. Just look at this at the bottom. This is literally the excuse that zoophiles justified fucking their dogs. He was wagging his tail, downward dog position. He was asking for it. Body language that's just stupid. And look at this picture. They didn't even attempt to make the dragon thing or whatever look remotely justifiable. If I actually replace this picture with the horse, it's the same thing. So, obviously, this system is flawed as well.
And in that way, the force of the earth comes around the moon. And at that presence, the dirt, it overshadows the grass. So you like, I can't cut this grass. There's no sun coming through.
Unfortunately, fortunately, whichever way you look at it, I don't really have the time to make this video any longer. And I don't really want to put in the effort either. As again, I really don't see this video sort of going anywhere. Now, I will reiterate that, again, I don't have any ill will towards furries, anime, the people who watch it, or any other people who might watch this video and have an issue. I'm not doing this as some sort of smear campaign again. I obviously have issues with people who use it's anthropomorphic or it's a 4,000-year-old dragon elder god as an excuse to justify their disgusting fetishes, obviously. I take issue with those things. I also want to explain that this video is meant to be taken with a lot of grains of salt. I've never really watched any of the shows mentioned for this rant. I had to watch clips for these characters due to time constraints, and I had to base my judgment on those clips. So there's probably a lot of stuff I done missed, or I probably got wrong or misinterpreted. Again, This is a rant, not really an in-depth analysis. Maybe I'll make a revised version, maybe I won't. And finally, I want to talk about the tone of this rant because it might not be clear or whatever. I'm by no means making a statement. What I'm saying is not final and can be subject to change because I am not a furry. I'm not an anime watcher. The point of this video was to ask a question, and that question was, what is the difference between lolly and furry porn? If lolly porn is dangerous because it harms children because of its depiction, then how is furry porn also not harmful since it is an obvious depiction of animals? In my opinion, I sort of think furry porn is worse than lolly, since a child can at least, grow up. They can gain the cognitive ability to recognize that the depraved stuff going on around them. A dog can literally never understand the concept of being sexualized. A dog can't grow that cognitive ability. And if you say that anthro isn't real and thus there's no way a dog can actually get harmed, what about feral art that furries endorse? Or what about the fact that ta whatever is also not real? You sort of have to treat this like a math equation. Whatever you do to one side, you got to do to the other. If you're going to say that furry porn is different from lolly because it's anthropomorphic, then you also got to take into account that, this character is also anthropomorphic. So how does your excuse differ? Dogs shouldn't be sexualized. Neither should children. And that was pretty much my big question. I don't really see a difference between the two. I'm not a furry, and by any means, and I damn sure am not watching any animes anytime soon. So my thought is that maybe someone who sees this video could explain it to me, the difference, and maybe correct any mistakes I made in this video. Until then, most, if not all, furries are pretty much zoophiles in my eyes. I'm not saying they are, but I'm just saying in my opinion. But who am I? Pretty much because they sexualize dogs and use a pedophile's excuse to justify it.